I hope my dog's quiet.
It's not a problem. No big deal. All right. So to start, would you please be able to state your name and what years you attended Westchester?
Yeah, my name is Kathy Hayes, Catherine Hayes. When I attended, my name was, when I first began, was Kathy Craddock. That was my maiden name. And I should have been class of 84. I attended starting in 82. I went to a different institution for a year and a half and then transferred. And I should have graduated in 84. And due to extenuating circumstances, money, different issues, I decided to get a job. And I was in that job and then finally went back part-time with my employer paying for me. So it took me about 3 years to complete, like a year and a half. So I graduated in 94, a little bit later than I should have, but that's my story. So really my rat years were from 82 to 84 when I was actually living in Westchester as a student. So, yeah.
So what did you study while you were at Westchester?
Communication studies. They used to be called speech communications, and then they changed that when I returned to complete my degree. It was changed to communication studies. So that's what I graduated with.
What brought you to choose that?
Well, I always enjoyed English and writing, and I was on the newspaper staff, and I thought that I would work for National Geographic, and that didn't pan out. So I tried to find something that was, I didn't want to do solely English, so I tried to find something that would involve, more people aspects and also some writing as well. Cool. So that's why I chose it.
How about what drew you to Westchester? Why'd you choose to come to Westchester of all places?
Okay. Okay, that sounds terrible. A boy. Yeah, I was dating someone through high school, pretty long term, and the first 2 years of college, and then we kind of decided that we both wanted to go to the same place, and that didn't work out in the end, but I'm still glad that I chose Westchester. Yeah, so it's a good school, and I liked it. I mean, when I toured it, I enjoyed it, and better than the other schools that I had toured. So that was good.
So in the end, it was a good decision?
Mm-hmm, it was. It was.
What about, so where did you live? Did you live on campus, commute?
I did not, because I was coming in as a junior. I was living off campus. I lived like on Dean Street. I lived on Price Street for a time. Yeah, I lived on Walnut for a little bit of time. So I lived around different areas. Some the Price Street and Walnut Street were with roommates. Dean Street was when I first came to Westchester. My first year was with a family that had rooms to, for boarding. And I did that for a year. And then because I really didn't know anybody that well, and so I decided to live with the family. And then I did find friends and then moved on, lived with them after that.
What was the which apartment was your favorite out of
which place? I liked the place on Price Street. It was right, like maybe a little one house over from where the Burger King was. I don't know if you remember Burger King before it was torn down. Yeah, and I've had a lot of similarities to my daughter because she lived right across the street for a year on Price Street, and I lived on Dean Street, and then she lived on Union, which was one street over. So we've had a lot of similarities in our Westchester experience.
Yeah, that was probably a lot of fun, actually.
Price Street was fun because it was a main street and could just go to Burger King, anytime you wanted, and that was always a plus. Yeah, Walnut. I didn't really care for Walnut as much. It was just a little crazy, and the family they were nice, but it didn't feel like a college experience because I was with a family with kids and. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
The Burger King actually closed down. I think that was my freshman or sophomore year.
Probably.
The building was
Yeah.
still there, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, no more Burger King, sadly.
Yeah. I heard they're going to possibly make it apartments, which I'm not sure how, or now a parking lot. So that's the latest that I've heard about it.
So parking is like horrendous here.
Oh, I know. I know. It's gotten
Um,
worse.
so what about so what did you do with your free time? Either on campus or
I worked a lot. I was a DJ at the radio station for about a year. My last year that I was there in '84. And then I also worked full time at Thrift Drug Store, which is, I think, a Rite Aid now. It went from Thrift Drugs to Eckerd's, and then it became Rite Aid in the shopping center. Is it with the West Goshen Shopping Center there where
yeah.
Acme is, and I forget what else is in there now. There's so many different things, but yeah, I worked because I had worked at home at a thrift drug store, which is now Rite Aid, and then they just allowed me to transfer to work there. So I worked probably like 35 hours a week. Yeah. And I think that also added to the stress of, I had to work to help pay for my college. So that added to all the stress of that and then going to school, which is why I was like, I can't take it. So I just decided to get a full-time job at an insurance company. Yep, I did that.
Um, so you would say you mostly just worked. Were you
I
involved in?
worked, I was a DJ at the radio station. I hung out with, friends. We went to parties. I had several different boyfriends that lived off campus, and they were always having keg parties. And we went to, of course, to the Rat. That was probably my favorite thing to do at the time. It was, convenient. They had the DJ downstairs for dancing. They had upstairs where they had food. And I don't know if you're going to ask me questions about that later on, so maybe I'll hold off on that. But that was my favorite thing to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, I just wanted one thing to clarify. So you say the radio show, do you mean WCUR?
WCUR. Yep. And
Very
when I first started at Westchester, I don't believe it was a university, but then it was just changing to university. I think it was still Westchester College. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember. It might have been university, but shortly before that, it was still not considered a university. It was like a college. Yeah. So yeah, I had the classic rock show at 9 o'clock to 11 on Sunday nights. So yeah, Led Zeppelin,
there you go.
Beatles, any classic rock. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Jethro Tull. That was me, the rock girl.
Very
Don't
cool.
ask me why.
Oh wait, so now I'm thinking, do you know a guy named Tim Sherry? Was he,
That does sound familiar.
because I know um he was in WCR and was also like a DJ at the Rat at times. And it was like
Yeah,
mid
it
eight.
sounds. The name sounds very, very familiar, but I can't say that like I know him well, but it does sound familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Um, all right, so well, moving off of campus, what would you say were the best bars in town?
Westchester was not the way it is now. I will tell you, it went through a little bit of, I wouldn't say a slump, but it's definitely had a revitalization. It's not the way it is now. I would have loved it to be the way when I was there, and had restaurants and pizza, cheesesteaks, that sort of thing, Jake's. But what you see now, yeah, it's definitely an upgrade from it. So we didn't do a whole lot in town, to be honest. There was a movie theater that is right on High Street. There was a movie theater there. And you probably can tell it's that one building. I don't know what it is now.
It's
Is
called
it a hotel?
the Warner. It's called like the
Yes,
Warner.
the Warner. I think it's like a hotel now.
Yes,
And that was
yes.
the movie theater. So we would go there. There was bowling in the West Goshen Shopping Center. We would go there to go, we would go bowling. Mm, just go to like games on campus. But as far as in town, other than going to the Rat or Jake's, or I didn't really do a whole lot in town. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, very, very different time. So, um, you would say rat kind of trumps all on
Hmm.
doing town.
For me, just because my friends and I, we love to dance. So downstairs was always dance music. So
Right.
it was, they had the dance floor, they had a big bar, and then there was the dance floor. So we just spent most of our time, not even really like drinking. We just danced, you know, a lot. So we just loved it. Yeah, we did. And then
So
upstairs, if you want me to talk more about the Rat, there was, they had pizza, hot dogs, things like that, snacks. And then there were all the, what do you call it, like Pac-Man and I don't know if Donkey Kong was there at the time. I think it was. Yeah, there was Donkey Kong. There was just different arcade games. And I remember when Pac-Man first came out, that was like a big deal. I mean, there would be lines at the Rat upstairs, like just waiting to play, Pac-Man. And then there was another bar upstairs when you first came in to the left. And that was like kind of quiet. They had a guy, his name I think was John. That's all I know. And all the girls had a crush on him. He was like maybe in his late 20s. And he would play James Taylor and all those kind of acoustic um, pop, like slow pop songs. So, he was like really dreamy, and all the girls like would sit up there. And when he played, I think it was like Thursday nights or Friday nights, and listen to him. And he played, and he had a girlfriend, and we all didn't like it when she was there, but yeah. So, and that was pretty much the life of the Rat. No coffee, no coffee house, like it is now. Just soda, junk, and music. That was it. You can quote me on that.
so run me through. Um, so let's say hypothetically,
Hmm.
Thursday, Friday night, you're going
Okay.
out with your friends, heading over to the Rat. Before you get inside, what do you see? Is there a line to
Okay.
get in?
It was primarily Friday night when we would go. Thursday nights, as it probably is now, is mostly like the house parties, where people would have parties at their houses. And Friday night was when we would go, sometimes Saturday. Mm. But I worked as well, so I worked a lot during the week, so I tried not to go out on those nights. But you want me to take you how it looked?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you come in, there's no, what do you call it, bouncer yet, because it's in like 3 different areas. So anybody can come in the upstairs, because like I said, it had the arcade, had tables, then to the right was like a raised kind of, I don't know what you call it, just, where there were people like behind cooking, and you would just order, somebody would take your order, and if you got food. To the left was you'd go up a step, and then it was kind of like it was open, but it looked like a little wall, like a half wall would go around that. So it looked like it was a separated area, and you'd go up there, and then that was a bar. So I think there you had to show there was no bouncer, but you just had to show your ID if you were going to order a drink. And then there were different people, entertainment, usually guitar, singing. And that was only some of the times. And then it would just be a bar. But when you first came into the right, was steps. And so you're basically going into the basement of the Rat. And that's where the bigger bar was. You come down, and it was to the right. And went like the whole way around. And then to the left was the dance floor with the DJ. And that was only open, I think, when they had like the DJ. So I think the other bar was open all the time. And I'm thinking that one was only open like Thursday, Friday, Saturday because they had the DJ. At least that's what I recall. You might get a different answer. Someone might know better, but I never went like any other times. I wasn't at the bar, every night. So I just know those nights there was a DJ there. And then there was somebody carding you. And they didn't charge. My memory, it's a long time ago. I'm trying to think if they charged a cover charge. I really don't think they did, but I can't recall. And if they did, it was probably not more than like $5. I mean, I don't think it would have been anything big, but you'll have to ask other people if they remember that, if they charged a cover charge, because I just can't remember.
That's all right.
And then we just would get like a drink, usually mine was the white Russian. I love the white Russian. And then we would, just wait for the DJ and dance and then come and sit and cool off and then go back again and just talk to people and our friends. And that was pretty much it. Probably what you do now at Barnaby's.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, okay, cool. So you already kind of answered my one question of what is your drink of choice? You said White Russians, right?
It was a white Russian. It started out being rum and Coke, only because that's the only thing my mom ever ordered on the few times she ever ordered anything. And I was not a big drinker and I really didn't know that much about it. And I think Pennsylvania was 21 at that time, but Delaware was still 18 and so was New Jersey. So I had some friends that weren't 21. So then we would go to Delaware, we would go, the Jersey Shore, and then we could all like go to the clubs and drink. And yeah, so pretty much the rat was, you were 21. Mm-hmm. And yeah, but I graduated to White Russian. I'm trying to think what else. I'm not much of a drinker. I still am not. Like I drink like one glass of wine and I feel tipsy. So I was never there really for drinking. And I didn't like beer at the time. And that was what my girlfriend drank. So that was why I drank. And it didn't taste like alcohol. It just tasted like, sweet. And they didn't put a lot of alcohol in it anyway. So it didn't taste like alcohol. They were chintzy on the alcohol.
Watered down.
Well, it was watered down. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. Cause like how much were
college bar. Yeah, there was nobody that I ever saw there that was like what we would consider an adult, someone that wasn't in college. It was definitely a college bar. Maybe upstairs sometimes when the guy John would be playing, you'd see like some older people there just sitting and drinking. But yeah, it was the college bar for sure.
So what about so you guys went to dance a lot. What was
Say that again.
what was playing? What kind of music?
Oh my gosh, the 80s. Oh, I don't even know, to be honest. Madonna. Yeah, like some maybe like, what do you call it? Again, I'm having a mental block here. Yeah, I can't even think. It was Madonna. I mean, it wasn't like we didn't have rap, so it wasn't that like R&B, that kind of stuff. It was just kind of more like, I'd say like like rock, like Cyndi Lauper. I can't think of anything, to be honest. I'm failing you on this one because I just can't even think about it.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so here's a bit of a strange question. So the rat obviously in a basement.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the rat having any particular kind of like smell to it?
Other than alcohol? I mean, probably just like musty smell, but I don't know. It didn't bother me. I guess I wasn't that focused on it because we were just there to have a good time. And, you're 21, 22, like you don't really care. So Yeah, I'd say other than a typical like basement, smell. I don't remember anything horrible. Maybe other people do, but I don't remember it being really bad. Now don't forget, I think when I was going there, like I don't know when it began, if you have any information on that, but I don't think it was that old. Like it wasn't on the maybe kids that were going in the 90s, you know, that it after it had been open for a while, it smelled worse, but I just don't remember that.
Yeah, it was just a funny kind of question.
Mhm.
Um, let's see, I'm trying to think of my goal is I wanted to get a kind of like a sensory feel of what it would be like to.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was definitely dark. It was dark and it was loud. It was crowded, especially like Friday nights, I would say was probably the most crowded. And, you danced, but you didn't have like a whole lot of room to dance. And I mean, we would dance with like, there'd be guys there that you just knew were like good dancers. And so you would dance with them, like you weren't like, none of our boyfriends liked to dance. I never hardly ever went with like a guy. It was always, friends. And then maybe some other guy friends that were just friends that like to dance. Because when you're downstairs, you're either there to dance or you're there to like, I don't want to say troll, but you're there to like, we would say scope. I guess now you say troll, right? You could tell I have a daughter that's 22. I know the lingo. Um, yeah, looking for girls, and they'd send drinks over to you. And if you didn't want it, then they'd get offended. So sometimes there was that. I mean, I remember getting in some like verbal like disagreements with people because they'd send the drink and I'd be like, no, I don't want it. And then they'd send it back. The bartender would bring it back. I'd be like, no, I don't want it. I don't, because I don't know what you want for that drink. So yeah. So it was exciting. It was fun.
and so downstairs there were no chairs or tables, right? It
I'm
was
trying
just
to
for the
remember.
dance.
I really don't think there were. I was trying to remember if there were tables like towards the back, but I think everybody just stood around. I wish you could go in there. I mean, you've been in the coffee place, right? You see how big that is. The Rat went back a little further, like I guess where their kitchen is. It was probably the whole length of that front of that building. It really was not that large. So with, I don't know, 100 people, I don't know how many people they fit in there. Everybody was standing. If you didn't have room at the bar to sit, then you're standing around the bar or you're on the dance floor or over in that back section. I don't ever remember sitting at a table. There could have been, at different times. I just don't remember that.
Okay. Now what about so I've in my research I found a lot of articles, advertisements more of that reference a 7-foot TV screen. Do you remember anything like that in the rat?
I do not. I do not. Oh gosh.
Or
7-foot
maybe was it
TVs.
like a projector, like a something?
I don't remember. I don't. You're talking to an old person. I do not remember.
It's the strangest thing because I like there's a lot of advertisements from like even like mostly the 80s that
Hmm.
reference this like giant TV. And I was like, I can't even like
Oh
fathom.
my gosh. I can't even think of that. I'm trying to remember. Did they say it was downstairs or
Uh,
upstairs?
I'm not sure.
If it was, I don't know where it would be downstairs and what it would do. I would think it would most likely be back in that back area where the tables were upstairs, where the arcade and then the tables for people to sit and eat. I could see maybe something, being like along there, but I don't remember. I know there was a gigantic TV screen at Sykes that we used to sit and watch around there, but I don't remember that at the Rat.
All right.
Sorry.
No, no, no. It's okay.
Keep asking. Other people might remember.
no, no, no. Like that's the craziest thing is nobody has like any recollection of this
So wait,
huge.
so you've read about this, but no one else
Yeah,
remembers.
yeah, which is what's so weird.
That is bizarre. Yeah.
Um, but you know.
So where'd you get that shirt?
So this shirt, it comes from how this whole project started was my roommate used to work at, so I live right above Ram's Head Bar
Uh-huh.
right in town. So I live right above there, and he used to work at Ram's Head. And one night he came home with like a handful of rat t-shirts. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I've never heard of this place, but it's like I did some research, I looked it up and like found like a little bit.
I
But
can't believe that nobody like has heard about it because it was an institution for sure.
no, exactly. And that's what sparked this whole project was because um, most people, like current students, have never even heard of the place. But
Hmm.
it's been around. It was open for 30 years and has
Wow.
served
Yeah.
tons of Westchester alumni. So it's
Do
a
you remember when it closed? Like, do you have that research?
2005. 2005.
So yeah, so it was in its early stages because it was the mid 70s when it opened. So I was going there like 82 to 84. So it really hadn't been around that long.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
opened in 1975.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that makes sense. I bet the only kids that know are ones who go to Westchester whose parents are alumni. Like my daughter knows about it because I've told her, about it all the time. So I've shown it to her where it was and, all the fun times I had there. But yeah, so she'll know about it, but she's never seen it. So actually, she might have seen it because we lived right outside of Westchester when she was born in 2000. So I'm sure we walked along there, but she would have been two because we moved in 2002, so she wouldn't remember, but she's probably seen it. Yeah.
probably. Um, okay, here, wait. Now going back, you started to talk about the food.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go
Pizza.
into the
That
go
was
into
the big thing. Pizza and fries. That's basically what we got. Pizza, fries, hot dogs, like chips. I'm trying to think if they had hamburgers. I think they did, but I don't think they were very good. They weren't like, something you would write home to mom about. But the pizza was pretty good. And it was cheap. It was like 75 cents or $1 or whatever. So like you're starving and you're downstairs dancing and you're hot and you go up and get a slice and then you eat it and you come back down because there was no food downstairs. No food allowed.
really.
Hmm. No
Um,
food allowed.
Now when you went there, it was Papa John's and Burrito Loco. Were they there?
No. Papa John's? I do not remember. Definitely not Burrito Loco. I mean, no. There were pizza places. There was a pizza place where Liberty Mutual is now. Not Liberty Mutual. What is it? Yeah, there's a building right on High Street before you come right before what's that street before Gay where you're coming from Exton? Yeah, I can't remember. There's a big office building there, and that was actually a pizza place, and everybody would go there. And then at Christmas time, they'd sell Christmas trees, and so if we walked uptown, that's like where we went. And then there was pizza places, of course, Burger King. There was pizza place right that same block of Burger King, like right there. And there was like a drugstore right on the very end, like right next to where Burger King would have been. There was like a drugstore, a tiny, tiny little drugstore. And then there were like little places on that same block. And that's pretty much, we would go there too. But pizza was big. And then some people would just drive to McDonald's. That McDonald's has been there for a long time. That shopping center down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, where the Rams Diner is. There's that. That was Pizza Hut. That's what we had. We didn't have Papa John's. That was Pizza Hut, and we used to go there. Yeah, we could walk there. It was a couple blocks, but we could walk down there. And I was just like a field. There was parking there, and there was not that, actually there was no parking. That was just like fields. There was nothing there, where the arts is, and there was a building there that was the registrar's office, and that's still there. And then the bigger, newer buildings that are down there, they weren't there. So it was just like a sidewalk that just went down. So yeah, it's changed a lot.
A little bit. Um,
For the better. I would say for the better.
for the better.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So food was only allowed upstairs, right? At the upstairs bar. And
There was no
what?
place to really eat, and they didn't want people spilling stuff on the floor or on the dance floor. And
Yeah, that's
so, yeah.
makes sense.
So you just
Uh,
went up and down, like, you could get the drinks downstairs if you wanted a soda from the bar or whatever. But if you wanted food, you had to go upstairs.
so did you remember what the kind of restaurant part of the Rat? Was it called the Rat Trap, or did you just generally call it the Rat?
I don't remember calling it anything like a name. It could have changed maybe later on. We just called everything the Rat and the Rathskeller. I mean, some people would say that, but mostly it was Rat. It was the Rathskeller was the name on the sign out front. And then we just shortened it to the Rat, which is not a very attractive name, but it
That's
worked.
cool.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call it a restaurant. It was just like tables, a few tables with, you just order up at the counter. So let's call it that. It was like counter service where you just order and you go down and you pay at a register and then you sit or stand or whatever.
Cool.
Most people ate the pizza so fast that you didn't even really have time to sit because you were like hungry and you've been drinking or whatever. So you scarfed it down and you went back downstairs.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so how about did the Red ever hold any kind of like theme nights you can remember?
I do not remember that. Mm-mm, I don't.
Um,
If
how
they
about
did, we never participated. I mean, they might have had maybe around the holidays, like Halloween, you could get dressed up, things like that. But I don't remember any specific like theme nights.
now? How about so you were going to the Red in the 80s. Um, Around that time, the Philadelphia Eagles had their training camp right in Westchester.
Yes, they did.
Do
Yeah, that
you
was pretty
remember
awesome.
any encounters with players ever?
Not really, because they were what, over the spring, summer, I guess what? When do they have their training camp? Summer, right? I remember driving past there and seeing them. Well, not me driving, but my friend driving because I didn't have a car there, but seeing them like out there practicing. And it was always like a big deal that they were there and people would come out from out of town just to watch them. But I don't remember, in the summer I was not in class, so I was probably just working or doing whatever. Sometimes like I would go home with my parents uh, over the summer. So
Very cool.
yeah,
It
but
was,
they were definitely there. They were definitely there. It was a big deal. It was a big
I've
deal.
read articles that said that the Eagles players often frequented frequently went to the Red.
They
Uh,
could have, but again, I'm thinking it was probably over the summer, and I really didn't go that much over. I think during that time frame, I think both of those summers I went home, didn't stay there over the summer, because a lot of the housing was, May, as it is now, like May to May. And then I didn't, unless you subletted, I didn't want to stay, over the summer. So I would just go home and then I could work at this drugstore that I worked at. They would just take me back over the summer and then I would switch back, to here. So that's basically what I did. So yeah, I didn't get to see that, but I'm sure they probably did. Yeah. They
Um,
would have stuck out for sure
no,
in
yeah,
that little place. They would have stuck out. Yeah.
you guys, yeah, that would have been funny. Um, how about was the deck open? Did they ever have did the Red ever host like deck parties, anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of that they had a deck unless it was in the summer. I do not remember a deck. Maybe it's something they built on, later. Because when I went back to school there in the early 90s, I was like already like in my late 20s and I just, I worked all day professionally and I worked I was doing public relations. I was a public relations assistant. And then when I got my degree, I was like a PR associate or whatever, because I did that. That was another thing I did with my degree because I did mostly writing in my career. So that's like corporate communications and speeches for the president, things like that, and PR. And yeah, so that's what I did with my communications degree.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It was always I was only wondering because I feel well Saxby's now has like the
Zaxby's.
patio almost like
Yeah,
the
that was no. There was actually to the side. Is the patio on the side
yeah
facing the side street? Yeah, what was there was actually like a ramp or something. There was a side door that you could come in, which is probably behind where Saxby's ends, like because the rat, from what I've been in Saxby's, like you can only see the front half of what the rat was. So it was much like longer going back. And then there was a side door that people would go in and out. So there were like steps there. There was like a ramp. I don't know if it was for handicapped people. I doubt it because I don't think they were into the whole having handicap accessible. I'm not sure. Maybe it was for like delivery people to push a cart up, to get it through that side door for deliveries of alcohol and food and things like that. Uh, yeah, and then that side door, that was pretty much it. No fancy deck.
no here wait I have another specific question. Um, I've read an article about one of the doors like just knowing which door to go into like one door was always locked, one was always open. Um, I guess like for like double
The
doors.
right, I think there were double doors in the front, from what I recall. And I think it was the right one. Is that what they're talking about? Like, or are they talking about that side door?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think there were like, how there's just two glass doors like in like and then you just pull open. I think they were glass. I mean, they could have been wood. And I'm pretty sure it was the right one that you had to go in. And I don't know if the left one just opened, that would be the right one going out, would just pushed open. Um yeah. I'm I'm thinking that's what it was. And I'm trying to remember if that side door was even unlocked to go in or that was only exit only. I'm not sure. I kind of remember going in that way, but it could have been because people were letting me in. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah.
It was a funny article. It was called like something like what only real ratters know,
Hmm.
um, and it just mentioned the door.
The
Uh,
door. Yeah.
yeah, it was like oh, like
I
real
mean,
ratters.
I have not thought of that, so my brain is like trying to process that, but it definitely sounds familiar that it was that the right side of the door going in and the other one was locked. I'm not sure why they would have done that. Maybe they didn't want hordes of people coming in at a time. It was just like one person could get in at a time. I don't know the reasoning for that.
I don't
Yeah.
know. So do you have any other kind of just fun stories? Any good memories you have?
I have one memory that I don't know if anybody has said. It was a tradition on the morning that you graduate to go over to the rat and have a beer or a drink. of course, the downstairs was not open, and that bar upstairs was open. I'm not sure during the week because, like I said, I was not there, but on the weekends, like Saturday mornings, it was open, and I'm not sure if that was just because it was a tradition and they had a bartender there early because of graduation and people just wanted to have one last drink, before they graduated. So when I graduated, because I was like older, I didn't do that. But I was like already married but my girlfriend, the year I should have graduated, I had a lot of friends that graduated, so she had it was like rainy, so they had it in the Phillips Memorial. Oh, I don't know if they still call it that. Is it that, right on High Street where I don't think they call it Phillips Memorial anymore, but it's right across the street from the Rat. It's that building with the breezeway you go under and the whistling, you can talk through the thing, whatever
Oh,
that's called now. A Splund?
Asphalt.
Asplund,
Yes.
okay. It was called Phillips Memorial at the time. And because it was raining and they split it up into different graduations. So she and I went over with her at 9 o'clock in the morning and we sat at the bar and she got a little tipsy. So she was tipsy at her graduation. And then we went across the street. I think the graduation was like at 11 or something like that. And for her graduation, she was business school. She was marketing. And yeah, she had her graduation.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And I do remember people saying that was like a tradition that you just did that on the day of your graduation.
Oh, makes
It
sense.
was right across the street, so.
I mean, not only it's popular for maybe not. I don't know about day of graduation, but like the last couple days leading up to graduation, it's usually like a very big.
Yes.
Bar.
Yes, I remember that with my daughter. Yeah, I remember that all week. I forget what did they have something like on Tuesday or something? I forget what they did. I remember that with her. Yeah. Mhm.
Any last final comments?
Other than I wish it was still there. I think, kids would love it now. It's so close to, I guess a lot of the kids that live on campus probably couldn't go there anyway to drink, but it was a place that you could go even if you weren't 21. You could go and listen to the guy playing because you could hear him in the hall upstairs. You could play the arcade games, which were just becoming super popular, and get like, quick snack or food or just hang out with your friends, even if you couldn't go downstairs. It was open the rest of the week upstairs. And I have a lot of good memories of it. And I wish that, it was still there, that my daughter at least could have experienced it. Yeah,
So
that's pretty much it.
one final question.
Okay.
If you could choose one word to describe the Rat, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Okay. Chaotic.
Perfect.
Chaotic. Yeah. Because it was so crowded and there was not a whole lot around. So the upstairs was always crowded. The downstairs was packed. It was loud. It was fun. It was hot. And it was, just kids having a good time and they didn't care that it wasn't fancy or, it was just a place to go and it just belonged to them. It belonged to the students. That's what I feel. It was a place that belonged to the students. Yeah.
Perfect. You don't have anything else? I'm gonna stop the recording.
No, I'm done.
Perfect.
Thank you.